Hello guys, I'm your host William, and today we're going to talk about the movie Spies in Disguise. At the beginning of the movie, it looks like a bomb is about to go off, but it's actually just a kid genius named Walter Beckett carrying out an experiment. Officer Wendy Beckett comes in and sees him using her cell phone in the experiment. He doesn't want her to get mad, so he explodes his glitter bomb to show that glitter releases serotonin, which makes people happy. His mom tells him to get ready for school, but he doesn't want to go because the other kids think he's weird. But his mom tells him that the world will one day need people like him. 14 years later, in Japan, a professional spy named Lance Sterling is trying to get into the office of a man named Kazuki Mora, who runs a company called Global Arms Dealer. Mora is about to give a bioweapon called the M9 Assassin to an unknown buyer named Kill. Lance gets into the basement and kills a few of Kimura's gangs in a number of clever ways, while Killian is already there and about to get the gun. As Lance orders Kimura to give him the weapon, the fat villain goes to attack him, but Lance beats him without much trouble. He then tells Killian to give him the weapon, but he knows he won't get it without a fight, so he fires a chip at him to knock him out. But it turns out Killian isn't like everyone else. Lance is able to fight back, but just as he is about to, a lot of Kimura gang members attack him. This gives Killian the chance to get away with the gun. When Lance sees that the bad guys are all around him, he uses the Walter glitter bomb to knock them out. The device worked to keep the gangs from focusing on the Killian, but he is already getting away. Immediately, Lance jumps out of the basement and through Killian chopper to get the gun and get it back. When Lance goes back to the agency in Washington, everyone is happy for him because his mission went well. He's not happy with Walter's tools, so he goes to talk to him about it. Walter works in the corner office, where he comes up with tools that spies can use. As Lance walks into Walter's office, he yells at him for making gadgets that don't work the way he wants them to. Walter tries to defend himself by telling Lance that the best way to finish a mission is to maybe cause a distraction or something, rather than making grenades that kill people. Lance is really upset by what he said, so he fires Walter. Lance goes to see Joy Jenkins, the director, to give her the M9 weapon. Unfortunately, the bag Casey took from Killian turns out to be empty. Suddenly, the agent for internal affairs called Marcy Capel and told her that Lance had stolen them from her and her teammate. She told the director that Lance had done it. They proved it by showing everyone a video of what looks like Lance running away with a gun, but is actually someone who is killing while pretending to be Lance to frame him. Lance tries to tell the agents that this was all a setup, but they try to arrest him instead. He makes a sudden distraction that lets him get away. Lance's only choice now is to find out where Kimura is so he can find and catch Killian and clear his name. But first, he has to find Walter and ask him to make a tool that will help him hide from the agents or catch them. Walter stays home alone with his pet pigeon, Lovey. His mother and Wendy have been dead for a long time. Walter can get a perfect formula for his disappearing technology by being left alone and using Lovey's feathers. Lance goes to Walter's house later to ask him for help. Walter asks Lance if he can help him with anything while holding the formula in his hand. Lance takes the formula from Walter's hand and drinks it, thinking it's just water. Walter freaks and tells Lance that he just drank something chemical that will change him into a pigeon in 45 seconds. Lance doesn't believe what he says, and he thinks going to see Walter is a waste of time. As he was getting ready to leave, his body started to hurt him very badly. He thought Walter was getting back at him for firing him, which had caused him a lot of pain and anger. He turns into a pigeon all of a sudden. When Lance sees himself as a pigeon, he freaks out and tells Walter to change him back, but Walter doesn't have the antidote right now. Even worse, Walter has already told the agency that Lance is at his house, but Lance doesn't know that he is now on the run. Lance tells Walter that a criminal named Killian is trying to set him up and that he needs to catch Killian in time to clear his name before it's too late. Lance tries to go off on his own, but he can't because he is now it. Lance realizes that he can't do this on his own and begs Walter to help him. All of a sudden, they both run away. Marcy and Lance's car, which is owned by her agency, take off after them. Lance tells Walter to use firepower to get away from the other agents, but Walter wants to use an oil slick instead so that the agents won't get hurt when he turns it on. This makes their car systems shut down briefly and almost makes them crash. But they were able to get away from the agents and start making plans for what to do next. Lance and Walter find Kimura and follow her to Mexico. They get to the place where Kimura is staying, which is a hotel. Walter tells Lance that he has changed into a pigeon and can now sneak past Kimura's men without being seen. As Lance tries to get Kimura's room key from the front desk, another pigeon keeps messing it up for him. When a hotel worker sees him, he throws Lance in the trash. But luckily for Lance, a pigeon ate the card and spit it out for him as Walter chased after him. Lance tells him that he doesn't need help with the mission. Lance goes to work from here. He was more aggressive and tried to hurt Kim, but he finds that a bird can do it better. Walter shows up out of the blue, uses his pen gadget to temporarily paralyze Kimura, and then adds a truth serum that makes Kimura tell them where Killian is. As soon as they see Marcy and her team at the door, they rush out the window to get away. Walter falls when he tries to jump to a nearby balcony, but he is able to hold onto it. The other agents were able to get to Walter and Lance, and when Walter tried to use his pen against them, a pigeon ate it. The pigeon then shot a gum-like substance at the agents, which let Walter and Lance get away. When Marcy and her team see this, they are shocked that Walter used something harmless to get everyone to stop moving. Then, she tells the director that she hasn't seen anything of Lance except a feather. Lance and Walter are able to get to Venice, where Killian is. They do this just as Lance and Walter are about to go inside. Marcy and her team show up and try to get Walter to tell them where they can find Lance. Walter's mom was a police officer, and Marcy tells him about the things she did to save her fellow officers. But Walter says no to Marcy's request to tell the police about Lance. She hears an explosion in the building, so she takes Walter outside and puts him in handcuffs while she and her teammates go in to see what's going on. Lance sets Walter free, and the two of them leave to finish the mission on their own. Killian had already used the M9 to get a database, though. Lance's only choice is to fly and get the database, but he is afraid to do that. But Walter pushes him off the building to make him fly as he falls. He can fly with the help of two other pigeons. They are able to catch up to the database, but Killian knocks Walter down. And as he is about to hurt him, he throws breadcrumbs on Killian, which attracts a huge flock of pigeons, leaving Walter and Lance a chance to run away. Later, Marcy and her team show up and tell Killian to give himself up. However, Killian changes his face to look like Lance to trick the agents and makes a distraction that lets him get away. Lance and Walter take a submarine to where Kills, and Walter uses one of Love's feathers to make the antidote. This works to change Lance back into a person. They go straight to Killian's. Lance tells Walter to go back because he wants to kill Killian. Walter begs Lance not to kill Killian, but Lance refuses. Instead, he should stop him in some other way. As soon as Lance sees that they are going nowhere with their argument, he calms him down and sends him away, afraid that he might get killed. Lance goes to the top of Killian's basement to help with the mission, but Killian grabs him and takes him away. Lance finds out from Killian that he has made thousands of drones that can find and kill Lance agents. Killian's computer sends him a message that his basement has been broken into, which means that Walter is coming back to save him. Killian sends two unmanned machines after Walter, and Lance has to watch. When Lance sees Walter's submarine explode in the water, he is devastated because he thinks Walter has died. As Killian sends his drones to kill all of Lance's agents in Washington, he does so. Walter is shown to have lived by using his hug protection bubble, which is an inflatable bag. Lance tells Walter he's sorry for looking down, and they both made up. Walter also sends a message to ask for help to Marcy and her agents. Lance is able to catch Killian, and the two of them fight against each other. Marcy also shows up, and she realizes that Lance is not guilty. When they saw that Killian was trying to clone Lance's face, they both fought him off while Walter tried hacking into Killian's arm to stop the drone strike from reaching the agency. In the meantime, the agent's secret basement has been found by the drones, and the director is trying to lead her agents to it. The drones have already caught something. During the fight, Killian tries to get away on a drone, but Walter is able to catch him. They get high above the clouds, and just as Walter is about to turn off the drone, Killian is able to hack into Walter's arm. He knows that Killian will die in the process, and he doesn't want to be a killer while doing it. Walter suddenly traps Killian in an inflatable hug that he was going to use to save himself in the clouds, and then turns it off.
World safe.
Lance sees Walter jumps out of the sky because he thinks he has no other choice. He uses a small vial of formula to turn himself back into a pigeon. He then uses his pet pigeon Levy and the other pigeons to grab Walter. The Marcy team is able to find Killian, and it seems likely that he has been arrested by the time they get back to the agency. Lance and Walter both lost their jobs because they broke a lot of rules. As agents, just when they start to see the good side of things, they are taken and thrown into. But Marcy and Jenkins just have a plan. They want Walter to lead a new team because they liked how his gadgets didn't hurt anyone. At the end of the movie, Lance and Walter are working as a team with the pigeons as backup. And the story ends here. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and activating bell for notification until the next video. Thank you so much for watching.